Let's see how well this works. Um, well, for anyone that will tune into this at a later point, I will probably go back in and trim this opening part off. But I'm doing this as a live stream for anyone that comes and gets in the chat here at the start of this. Uh, I'll just kind of wait before I do any sort of talking or discussion. But worst case, if not, I'm just gonna say some stuff. We'll see. I'm also, I guess, saying this too here at the start in case I can't go back in and trim it later, which would suck. I'm pretty sure I can go back in and trim it later. But yeah, we got one person here. Who is it? I got a bet on who it is in my head, but I'm not positive. But I'm like 95% positive I know who this is. Um, but we'll just kind of wait a little bit, just kind of chill out, just in case there's any fun interaction that comes out from the chat of me telling you basically my theory. Oh, yes, that is a surprise. What's good, my guy? What is up? How you been? We need to talk, cause didn't you make a move back in July? Ain't you in the Omaha? You know, Omaha? What's up? Someone came to say hello. Um, you gotta text me after. Or I'll either you send me a text after this because I'm doing this on my phone right now. But I will definitely either text you tonight or tomorrow morning. Yeah, because we should link up together. You hear about Eat the Worm? Because because I'm laughing because I'm thinking about the fact that when we last hung out was there, and now they closing because the health inspections not really why they were closing. They're closing because the building structurally is unsound. But you can slow down the VOD from you. Okay, cool. See, that's what I was kind of thinking. I've never done it for one like my live streams before, so like I know that must be how people like clip stuff, but it's just nothing I've haven't actually did before. But I was like, I'm pretty positive you can do that, but we'll see. Um, yeah, for real. R.I.P. Man. I mean, they gotta find some. They're apparently looking for some other place to move into. So we'll see if they can rise from the ashes or not. But if they can't, if they can't. It is what it is. You know. Uh, but man, have you watched Ahsoka yet? Have you tuned in to you've watched the first two episodes? You see what Dave Filoni and the team was putting out. Rose, get down. No, you don't need that medicine. No, well, mm, mm. Yeah, I'm about to throw this at you. You're gonna choose to get down. You're gonna stay up. Not yet. Okay. Okay. Well, you know, as everyone says, I am too understanding when it comes to anything Star Wars, where I make excuses at X, Y, and Z. But I did enjoy my time watching it. And I don't have any water in here. Maybe I have some water inside this. I do a little bit of this. We'll see. I've been reading the Darth Bane series. Wait, is that what you said? I want to make sure I read that right. Let me see the chat again. Darth. I think you're. I'm assuming you just had a typo there, but yes. That I just moved all my hardbacks, but I guess the Legends books are here, so they're somewhere. The paperbacks are at least back there. But man, the Darth Bane series is a very good series. I remember reading that. I think would have been we were like in like junior high, and I remember that trilogy of books was just really good. And the thing is that so there's a character in Ahsoka right now. Um, Balin's skull, and then it's yeah, you're just causing a mess. Shin Hati, I forget what her what the character's last name is, but she reminds me of a character from the Darth Bane trilogy of books. So speaking of like master and apprentice type stuff. But what you doing over there, Rose? My cats is just causing mayhem everywhere they go. Um, I don't think I'm probably gonna get more people besides you and whoever the other two people are. The other two people are, say what's up. The third person that's here, you can press that like button too. Just give me the 3 likes. Just we won't press it. Go on, press it. All right, that's cool. That's cool. You ain't got to press it. I don't even know. I don't even know why I'd ask you to press it. But man, okay. So for those tuning in either later or now, or in the present day or in the future, or are they carrying in from the past? Who knows? Time is just a concept, right? Got a little too real. Anyway, no, but for real. Okay, so the reason I did this live stream is because I'm too lazy to edit something. Because I was editing all day for work, and I don't want to not get this out before. Yo, what's up, Sean? Hey, yo, it's the homies in here, man. Yeah, it's live, baby. Um, oh, then you unlike someone unlike. That's crazy. That's pain. And the reason why I was doing this live stream is because I wanted to get this theory that I have. I want to post about it and get it out here before the next episode came out because I don't. It's one of those things where like I have a couple friends every now and then where I talk to them about my Star Wars theories and stuff like that in person, and people are like, it's funny when I get stuff right, and then of course I like anyone probably will. They'll also get a lot of stuff wrong, but I've been having a handful of friends as of late, especially some of my friends online, keep telling me like, yo, you should post something, you should post something, and I don't really like talking about Star Wars too much online. It's something I'm slightly considering. Ah, see, there it is. That's the trifecta right there. That's practically the holy trinity of greatness. What's up, Grace? Thank you for showing up. Um, I I want to get this theory out there before the episode comes out. So I'll just kind of jump into it and give a little bit of background and stuff to it. And before I do that, I am going to stop my cat from making noise with this thing for the rest of the night. Okay, so theory time, right? So in Ahsoka, the show's picking up after the Galactic Civil War. So it's post Return of the Jedi. It's during the Mandalorian timeline of stuff. The show does pick up after Ahsoka's appearance in season 2 of The Mandalorian. I did have a theory before the series started that we would have some time jumping happening in the first couple episodes to help us understand, what happened to Ahsoka after Star Wars Rebels, but then, or after the and the world, yeah, the world between worlds, isn't that what it's called? What happened, with that whole section of the story, and then her showing back up on Malachor and all that stuff. Um, and I theorized that we maybe would see stuff that takes place before her appearance in Mandalorian, because of seeing like Morgan Elsbeth and having her show up in that episode and all that stuff. So that was a theory that I had. It was totally wrong. However, and I also was based on how like Rebels has the ending epilogue and the timeline of stuff and how you can make the scenes like still make sense even though they were shown in different order and all this other stuff. I mean, I'm not here to talk or try to debate someone about the Rebels ending versus the Ahsoka stuff and how that like still ties up and is still canon and so on and so forth. So, my thing I want to talk about though is that in these episodes that we saw this past week, the big thing that was new information for us as fans, really, of course, is that Ahsoka had taken on Sabine as her Padawan. And the question is, when did this happen? We don't have the answers to that yet. But over the course of the episodes, I think, they're dropping a couple subtle hints in terms of what happened and why, stuff is the way it is. And I think using some greater context clues of the greater known Star Wars universe and the current, canon and the timeline, we can place some events, and I'm gonna place some of what I would like to say, just like my own little headcanon of stuff, because I'm throwing it in the George Lucas book of like, it's poetry, it rhymes. But there's some things I think that were happening that were very similar to other things happening in the galaxy. And I just kind of want to throw this out there that, I really think that the real split between Ahsoka and Sabine in terms of the training that was going on is that, we know from watching Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett that the Empire did come back to Mandalore and they straight up messed the place up. They, orbital bombarded it, and then you had, the K2 droid, the security droids, or, the same models of K2SO. You had those droids, taking them down, probe droids, all that stuff. And so all that is how we saw Mandalore and what caused, the great purging of the planet, and why you have all these Mandalorians are scattered across the galaxy, and they're, as basically they're mostly thought to be dead. There's not thought to be many Mandalorians left by the time of the Mandalorian. So with that being the case, if you watch other Star Wars material, like Star Wars Rebels, for example, you're like, well, what's happened? Because we saw at Rebels that Sabine hands off the darksaber to Bo-Katan. Bo-Katan ignites it and is going to lead the charge to reunite the people of Mandalore against the Empire and against, something happens with Gar Saxon, and you got Sabine's family and all that stuff. And so we left it on a high note, feeling pretty good about stuff. And then you come to find out the Mandalorian, it's like, well, some people don't take their helmets off anymore, and the planet the planet is it's uninhabitable. Like, what happened? How all these different things happen? And I think what's the interesting missing piece, is that what we did talk about a lot for the people who watch other shows was like when Din tried to give Bo-Katan the darksaber the first time at the end of season 2, and she hit him with the classic Jon Snow. I don't want it, which wasn't true. She did want it, but she can't accept it, I guess is the better way to put it. All those different pieces happened in a way that let us want to know, well, why can't she just take it? She took it from Sabine last time, but then we figured like, oh, there's this attached thought of it being cursed if you don't win it through trial by combat. If you just hand off the saber, that's it curses the plan. So the Kryze family also you could say is cursed in some ways because of what happened with her sister Satine and the stuff with Bo. But like all that being said, the other piece in here that I felt like was missing was like, well, what did Sabine do? Like, Sabine, again, just to go through a little more backstory for us here. Sabine, had worked for the Empire for a while. She enlisted with the Empire. She helped develop the weapon that ended up becoming the Duchess, which, crazy name. I mean, Satine just, even in death, just the disrespect. The development of that weapon, with that happening, you end up also having the thing we're seeing, that Sabine like felt very guilty for developing this weapon that could eradicate her people because of how it could fry a Mandalorian through their Beskar armor, which is, I mean, that's just some dark stuff, period. Um, and all that stuff, and the guilt that she felt with that, and then the guilt she felt with her family not accepting her. If you want to watch a really great episode of animated Star Wars television, go to Star Wars Rebels. It's in season 3. I don't remember the episode number, but I do remember the episode name. I'm pretty certain it's Trials of the Darksaber. It's a great episode. It gives you a lot of background with Sabine, and it also shows you technically Sabine's first master with training, Kanan Jarrus or Caleb Doom. And so, you know, the thing there is that, like, okay, Sabine would have probably been feeling some type of way about what happened on Mandalore. And herein lies where I think the issues began for her and Ahsoka. So, I believe that Ahsoka does come back to the known galaxy at some point in time during the Galactic Civil War as we originally experienced it the first time in A New Hope, Empire, and Jedi. And I think sometime between A New Hope and Empire, she came back to the galaxy and she didn't reconnect or try to connect with the Grey Rebellion or with Luke from a place of, I saw what happened to Anakin. I don't want to train Anakin. I don't want to train anyone. I still don't know how to feel about the Jedi. I think she was still very lost and unsure of herself and unsure of the path and the route she wanted to take, even after the going survive basically surviving death again through the Roll Between Worlds. But in some way, shape, or form, I think Ahsoka did reconnect with Sabine because Sabine was still on Lothal. I feel like Ahsoka would have went back to Lothal in search of the Jedi Temple / in search of understanding of how the access to Roll Between Worlds existed, because I feel like Ahsoka wanted to use the Roll Between Worlds as a way to maybe try to rectify her issues. What happened with Anakin? I don't know. There's a chance that could be the case. There's also a chance that's not the case, but who's to say? But regardless, I think that was, an entry point, and through the process of that, Sabine and her met on Lothal, and then Sabine was saying, Ahsoka said that she would come find Ezra, and so she tells that to Sabine, but then Sabine's like, well, I want to help you find Ezra. In the process, I want you to train me. Can you train me to be a Jedi? even though she has very little aptitude for the Force. You know, the Force is in all living things, but some can just feel it stronger than others, and some believe more, some don't. So I feel like that was the root of, or that was the beginning of their training, right? But then what I theorize as being the split of their training is that you know to train to be a Jedi, you're supposed to have no attachments, and Sabine is very attached to Mandalore, very attached to her people and her culture, and she probably gets word of the fact that Mandalore is about to be under attack by the Empire. Her family maybe even calls out to her to have them come and rescue and save her. Or the way that Sabine maybe mostly interacts with the Force, at least as we've seen so far, is through her dreams, through her subconscious. She's having these Force visions, these Force premonitions of what was going to happen. And as she talks to Ahsoka about it, Ahsoka is very like, attachments are bad. You can't do that. You need to, temper yourself with this and not, go about, trying to pursue or stop or change these things. And in the process of that, I think Ahsoka and Sabine probably get into a really heated debate. And Sabine wants Ahsoka to go help, and Ahsoka refuses to go help. And then that causes their conflict. And then Sabine ends up getting very angry with her. But then Ahsoka decides to just walk away from her. And Ahsoka's like, you know what? If you're so attached to it and that's what you are, I can't train you. And so she abandons Sabine. And Sabine, in the crushingness of that and the fracturing of their relationship, what happens next is what we have seen that happens on Mandalore. The Mandalorians lose. They do not win. It goes very badly. And Sabine feels guilt and feels at fault, but she also feels anger and resentment towards Ahsoka because Ahsoka walked away from her and gave up. And all this theory for me comes from a very small set of dialogue from, I think it was the second episode. Oh no, it was the first episode of the series, which is that Ahsoka and Sabine are talking, and Sabine's like, you still don't have a place that you live. You just live on the ship. And she's like, yeah, I go where I'm needed. And Sabine's like, not always. And to me, that's all. As Michael Jordan would say, that's all I needed. That's all I needed to run down this path. Because truly, what would make more sense for her to say that line to her than to be like, my people and I needed you, and you didn't show. Why? you know, and I think that's something that's going to have some, some contention between them, and I think the only reason why Ahsoka has become more open to the idea of training Sabine slash, of course, Hera like is pushing the envelope on it, but I think it's truly because that, in my head canon for right now, that whole moment happens during the same time period as Episode 5. I think during the events of Empire Strikes Back, while the rebellion's on the run from the Empire and Luke's on Dagobah training, I think the attack on Mandalore was happening. Now, they may have actually stated when this happened in the Star Wars Timelines book. I don't think they did, but like let's say they didn't. Let's say we could place it in whatever. I like to think that it happened then, because then I think in terms, like, again, going back to the poetry part, it rhymes and all that stuff. I think it would be interesting if in one part of the galaxy, Luke's on Dagobah having these premonitions, having these visions, and Yoda's telling him not to go. If you honor what they fight for, then no, you won't. You won't go. But Han and Leia will die if I don't. Perhaps always emotion is the future. Like all that stuff is happening. I think at the same time, Sabine and Ahsoka are having their argument and their discussion about what's the right thing to do. And Sabine maybe runs off to go and help too. Maybe it isn't exactly that Ahsoka walked away. Maybe Sabine is really the one that walked away more because she wanted to go and try to help her people, but she was too late. And she didn't have the help of Ahsoka, the help of a Jedi, you know? Um, and so, like, I like to think that's what happened. I could be proven wrong by the end of the series. I feel like we are going to find out by the end of the series. I don't even think it has to get to the mid-season point before we, get that flashback or get that piece of information. But it just feels it feels right because to me too, I think, Ahsoka refuses to train Grogu in the Mandalorian. But I also think, again, that partially comes down to the fact that I think sometime between the events of season 2 and the Book of Boba Fett, um, she still hasn't maybe met Luke until, very recently. Maybe before Grogu came, or around the time that Grogu came into his, care, somewhere in that. Or maybe she met him earlier. But either way, I think that Ahsoka ends up feeling a little more open to the concept and the idea of training someone, and of the closeness and the attachment stuff, because she has a conversation with Luke about Anakin and about his redemption. And I think that softens her heart some, but she still needs to see his Force Ghost to fully soften her heart, which I think we're going to see on screen this season. Um, and so, yeah, I think it's really interesting to see um, this stuff. And I think it's interesting to see, what people are kind of theorizing and speculating when it comes to, what's going on in the show. I've enjoyed the first 2 episodes a lot so far. I'm looking forward to watching the new episodes again tomorrow night. Uh, and yeah, the show's been great, so far, and I hope it continues to be good. I really, really like the music. The music is pretty great. Um, it's just a different. Um, it's not different so much as like Kevin Kiner, I think, has just done a great job of like making the music feel like the Skywalker saga um, episodes, because or movies, because there's not always music, but when it is, it's not carrying the scene, but it is shepherding you through the moments, if that makes sense. Um, but yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. If you guys like the theory, leave a comment down below. Give me a thumbs up, all that great stuff. I will probably go back in and re-upload this as something shorter so that people can kind of just see it, or whatever. But I wanted to make sure I got this out um, now before it was the new episodes come out. Um, Ideally, should have did this last week, and maybe if tomorrow something really pops out to me that makes me feel a certain type of way, I'll do something. But it's nothing that I'm like planning on doing. So I thank you guys for watching. Joe, thanks for coming through. Grace, Sean, all the peeps. Much love, much love. Joe, I will text you as soon as I get off this thing. And yeah, I wanted this. Thank you guys for watching. Until next time, peace. May the force be with you always, and I'll see you guys around later.